Hello there. Welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures, and welcome back to Griswold, the golf cart. Today we're going to talk about putting some lithium batteries in this thing, so go ahead and stick around. Okay, well, truth be told, already done it. And I didn't film it. And I have a very specific reason or two for not filming it. The first of which is it took me many days to do it with this particular golf cart. And second of all, I forgot that I probably should film it. But anyway, I can walk you through what we've done. There are many videos out there in YouTube world on how to do this, and people have done it. I'm just going to show you what I did. In no way, shape, or form, or means, or whatever what you want to say, am I trying to tell you what you should do, how to do it. I'm just going to show you what I did. And we also did a couple of little upgrades while we were doing it. So let's go ahead and dig into old Griswold here, and I will show you kind of what we did. So the very first and obvious thing that I did was remove those. Goes without saying, obviously, if you're going to do a battery swap, you got to get the old batteries out of there. Now listen, I tried a lot of things with those batteries. I replaced all of the cables, scrubbed the terminals with wire brushes, made them really nice and clean. Serviced the batteries. Between the 6 batteries, it took a gallon of the distilled water. Charged them, did all the things, and we were still having the same issue, which the issue was after about a mile, it would start sputtering, stuttering, whatever you want to call it, basically acting like it had no juice, and that's because it had no juice. So even after all the servicing, this is a 48 volt cart. And after all the servicing, I drove it around the block a few times, brought it back in, parked it. It had already started to stutter again, and parked it with no load on the batteries, checked the voltage, and they were at 46, almost 46.0 or 46.1 volts. No good. That will not run a 48 volt cart at all. So when you buy a 20-year-old cart, you never know what you're going to get for batteries. Oddly, the batteries don't even have a date stamped on them that I could find, so I don't know how old they are. So I decided, we're going to do the lithium. New lead batteries are more expensive than a new lithium battery, depending on, of course, the brands and things you buy. So I opted for the Ogrphy battery, the Ogrphy, you'll see. And some other upgrades while we were at it. So first things first, old batteries came out, and let me get you into the battery compartment and show you all the business under there. So here we are. Obviously, I've taken the seat off for better viewing ability. Ogrphy. Okay. I went with this battery in particular because I don't remember the amp hours. It's either 100 or 105, don't really remember. It's got a metal case and handles and terminals off the end. If you're trying to put a lithium battery in a Club Car DS, then the frame rails under the seat, they're at a bit of an angle and they're a bit tall at the back, and there's not a lot of clearance, so you have to get a little bit creative with how you place the battery to make sure it fits under the seat. This one fits under the seat with almost an inch clearance to the bottom of the seat board, the wood that's under the seat. Perfect. You can see that I've also mounted the charger here, and I've got some 12 volt things at the far side we'll go over later. First thing you have to do, though, you get that out, is you need to remove the charging port, which is kind of there. And you don't need any of that wiring. You can remove it, but you don't need to. So what I've done is I've just neatly zip-tied all that, zip-tied English. Do I speak it? Zip-tied all that wiring just right there. And that obviously took care of all the issues I had there. Now, I had replaced all of the battery cables like I mentioned before, and that included the cables that went from the batteries, one to the motor, actually to the solenoid, and the other to the control box. So I replaced those as well when I was trying to make the lead batteries better. So those wires are new, and I'll show you in a little bit why there's a control box back there. It's called the computer. It doesn't do much other than monitor the charging of the batteries, I think. Don't quote me on that. And for this conversion, you bypass that particular unit. However, the ground wire goes right through it, and that's how it measures the current. So if you're going to change that or just completely remove that box, which you can do, then you have to cut the end off of your negative cable, which I've already done once when I replaced the negative cable. I didn't want to do it again, so I just left it. And again, I'll show you that in just a little bit. Actually, probably just show you that now. It's going to be a little tricky to show you because obviously the cart here is completely put back together, and that includes the rear seat, but there's a cover on top of the rear body panel you got to take off. A couple of screws, slides off, but I've got to try to reach under the rear seat and show you, which by the way, taking the rear seat off on this particular model, it's not exactly easy because it doesn't just come off. You got to unbolt it and the bolts go through it. You just can't reach it. It sucks. And anyway, we're not going to take it back off. I'm just going to try to weasel the camera up in there. Holy cow, the GoPro doesn't even fit through here. Okay. You can kind of see the box with the negative cable coming out. I'll do some pointing at it with the thing later in the edit. And you can see the negative terminal comes through there, but that's the computer right there. The only thing you have to do under here really is, you can see I've taken off the harness a light blue wire and a white wire, and I have cut those and tied those together before or after that wiring harness, whichever way you want to look at it. And that is all you need to do to bypass that computer, onboard computer they call it. So that light blue wire is what actually provides power to the, to that onboard computer. It comes out of the, whatever you call it, the control module that's there. That was the big black box, or it's behind that big black box. Anyway, that black box is more of a cover. You don't need to get in there. Just tie that blue and white wire together. That's all you need to do there. So that's nearly the extent of the prep work you need to do. Go ahead and set your new battery in here. Now you can see I've set mine in here, and I've actually bolted it down to the frame here because this battery has got a metal case and it had these nice heavy flanges, so I just bolted it so it just can't go anywhere. You do have to slide it as far forward as you possibly can. The original charge port obviously had to come out, which is good because I needed to go further forward. And you wire it up. Now this wire here, this goes to the thing, the little screen it comes with. And we've got that screen right here. It says we're at 94%. It's pretty cool. It has different things, shows the battery's off. It's not, the charging is on, but it's not actually doing anything because it's not plugged in. And then it shows you the condition of every single cell in the battery. Now, when I first got the battery, I did order it on the Amazon, in case you're wondering. When I first got the battery, I did immediately plug the screen into it to double check all the cells. As you can see here in this video that is now playing in front of you, that all the cells were pretty much identical from the factory, which is a good thing. That's what you want to test for. So then after I did that, I went ahead and put it on a charge cycle. It did not take it long. I think it was like 47 or 48% charged when I got it. It did not take it long to get it up to 100. It went pretty quick. And of course, this came with the charger as well. Let's see, next. So if your cart doesn't have a built-in 12-volt side, that's pretty much it. You hook up your battery cables to the battery, your charging cable, which is this guy right here, and that just, I have it run right there, a little bit of a zip tie over there, over to the charger that sits over there, and that's it. And for that part, this was easy. However, because this particular cart is the 2003, what is it called, the Pathway or something like that, it's got a 12 volt side, complete from the factory. So that really complicated this. As far as the motor goes, that was fine, but getting the 12 volt side back up and running, well, that was a lot more work, especially because I decided to make it harder on myself and put a brand new dash in it while I was at it. Ooh, lovely. But I had to access all the 12 volt wires. So I'm going to show you kind of here on the battery side, because we're already here and that's the easiest place. Just need to get a light, make it a little easier to see. All right, so let me push some of this aside. You can see where my finger's pointing at right here, and I may have circled it or I may not have circled it. I don't really know yet. That is actually the original from the factory, the 12 volt fuses for the 12 volt system. That's the headlights, the turn indicators, brake lights, horn, windshield wipers, window defroster if you have such a thing installed. All of that is in that fuse box right there. And actually it was sitting where it would be under on a plate under the battery. I had to relocate it here for the battery to fit. This is all high amp, like every fuse in here is 20 amp because it's running old halogen style light bulbs. So here's what I decided to do. I put 2 of these converters in, these step down converters that are 36 to 48 volt, step down to 12 volt. One of them, which is this one, is a 30 amp unit and it runs only the factory 12 volt side. The second one here I installed, it's a 25 amp unit. They look the same, and there's no reason why I did a smaller one except for I ordered this one first, and then after I realized that was on a separate side, I got a heavier one to do it. Anyway, these are the Pro Chaser model. I like these. A lot of good reviews. A lot of people like these and use these, but I like it because it has a 5th wire to where I have it connected to my key, so when I turn the key on, it activates these. So if the key's off, these are not active, there's no power, we're not losing any battery juice. Anyway, this one I have going to a fuse block that I added here, and that's for all the fun accessories like the LED lights I have inside of the roof. Now I realize that's probably some overkill. However, it was not expensive. Those things are not expensive. They're like $25, $28. They're not expensive, and it's good insurance to make sure I don't, mess anything up. That's pretty much it. I did have to clean off the ground bus that's underneath the, well, I'll show you on the other side over here. So right here, where my finger's pointing, that's the, that is the 12 volt ground bus under here. That is all it does. You're not supposed to ground anything to the chassis on these. You use the ground bus, which just ties back to your battery. That's fine. But I had to take all that off and clean them and then put them back on. Now there is another one of these in the dashboard, and it's tied directly to this one. So that way your 12 volt system is all tied together with the same ground, which is kind of nice. However, in this golf cart, the 12 volt system was all behind the factory dash, which now that I've got my nice pretty wood grain aftermarket dash on there, I cannot show you that. So that goes kind of there. And I'm going to attempt right now to find some stock footage or photographs of what the factory DS dashboard looks like to put here, because I don't think I have any pictures of it. But there's a plate right here in the middle. That's where your key switch and all that is. You take that dash panel off, and behind that is where all of the 12 volt wiring for this cart exists. Now, it's not that it's easy to get to. You got to figure out what wires what. Fortunately, I was able to find online no wiring diagrams. If you search Club Car DS wiring diagrams, you'll find some stuff, but nothing great. However, what I found were complete parts lists for these things, and I found one specific to this cart. I'm going to try to put the link in the description of where I managed to find that, but they are complete parts list down to every nut, bolt, screw, wire, connector, you name it, everything. And it showed me every color of wire, where it goes, what it does. Thankfully, because of that, I was able to decipher the whole 12 volt system or low voltage system of this cart. For reference, this is a 48 volt cart, so you've got 6 8 volt batteries, and they're in series, which gives you your 48 volts. Club Car, what they did is the first 2 batteries, they just ran those to get the 16 volt side of it. And that works. Most 12 volt accessories work fine on 16 volts, and that's fine. Obviously we're down to 12 now because we're running off those things. Anyway, I don't know why I went on that side tangent, but I have done. So anyway, back there in the dash is another ground bus, exactly like the one I just showed you here. It's tied to this one, and it has the ground for the accessories where everything's up under the dash. So it's all the lights, all those things. The horn, which is under the dash. The backup buzzer, which by the way is completely disconnected. And what I mean by disconnected is it's in a box up on the shelf. Don't need the buzzer. So anyway, get into that side. I needed to get in there because I needed to extend the wiring for my ignition key, my headlights, and that's because this dashboard, as you can tell, comes out instead of up here. If you're not going to do a dash conversion like this, you don't have to do any of that. You honestly don't have to do anything at all except run the cable for your screen somewhere to the front and mount your screen somewhere. Like I said, I like making things harder on myself than they probably need to be. So I put a new dash in while I was at it, which meant I had to extend the wires. I went ahead and put a new key switch in it, only because the old one was just not nice looking because it's old. So I put a new key switch in it. Got new keys that are kind of neat looking. They actually have a black thing on it, you know, plastic grip thing, and that's fine. Put my original headlight switch, which is just a pull switch, in there, but like I said, I had to extend all the wiring, and that's pretty much it. Through doing the conversion the way I did it, it's very simple. Mostly, I was able to retain the function, obviously, of the key switch because it is tied back to the control box. Even able to retain the function of the tow run switch there. So that's, I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, and that's only because I did the work. Just dropped my flashlight. I meant to. It's on the floor. That's where I want to keep it. And I got up a little quick, so I'm a little dizzy. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I'm back. Let me just show you the thing works. So as you can see right now, everything's off. If I turn this key on, I get nothing. I get no headlights, nothing works. Put it in gear, nothing happens. Right? Nothing. Okay. The battery has a switch. I'm going to push that switch here. And I've energized the terminals on the battery. Let me turn the screen on. It doesn't change anything there. But I've energized the terminals. However, we're still in tow mode. So if I turn this key to on, I still get nothing. Nothing works. Nothing works, which is perfect. That's the way it's supposed to be. So now if I come back here and turn this to run, I've now energized the controller in the back. If I turn the key on, I can turn my headlights on. You can see I've got headlights now. Turn indicators all work, brake lights work, and if I put it in gear and push the gas over here, oh, you heard it click, and we're moving. Very good. So we did the thing. So honestly, with the lithium conversion, what I was looking for is I just want it to work. Number one, quit leaving us stranded in the RV park and having to push it back to camp. That was honestly kind of not fun, having to deal with that. But now it works. Should have a much larger range. You saw it was at 94%. It was 100% when I installed it. I probably have several miles of just full throttle on this thing. Full throttle, just seeing how it did, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But a lot more range, a little bit more power, an ability to maybe load it in the toy hauler without having to push it. With the lead batteries, you had to push it up in there. But let me tell you, you get more power, oddly. This is the battery is whatever it is, 51, 52 volts, 48 volt battery, it's 50 whatever. And went for a first little drive on it, and I was on the cart, and I had my buddy on the cart here with me, and my granddaughter, which y'all have met in some past videos, Bougie, had her on the back seat there with a seatbelt on. And we took off, and it puts you in the seat a little bit. I was quite surprised, and my granddaughter, she's funny, she said, "Whoa, this thing's got some horsepower, baby." Her words, not mine. It was pretty entertaining. She's hilarious. Anyway, we drove it around the block several times, and then decided to see, well, how fast does it go? So we put the GPS on the telephone there and got it up to like 28 miles an hour, and I was kind of shocked. And honestly, a golf cart like this, 28 miles an hour, does not feel exactly stable. Is that the word? Anyway, so improvement in speed. Look, most of the RV parks limit you to 5 miles an hour around camp, and if they have a road, maybe 15 miles an hour. My favorite RV park does anyway, which is perfectly fine. What I was after was, can we make it just reliable, and maybe this battery will last longer than the lead batteries. But that's really about it. I'm sure I'm leaving something out, and I'm bummed I didn't really film any of it, but like I said, I couldn't be bothered. There was a lot of curse words, not because of the lithium part of it. The lithium part's super simple. Literally take the charging port out, put the whatever on it, put the battery in, cut the blue and white wire, tie them together, hook it up, and Bob becomes your uncle at that particular point in time. It's the 12-volt side of this cart that whooped me pretty good. For the charger, let me show you what I did for the charger. I think I forgot to show you that. So I just got a kit that comes with this plate and a waterproof thing. You just plug an extension cord right there. And then inside here, you just plug your charger into it. That's sort of it. And then you can say I've got an extension cord right there. I can store it there. And that way I can just take that extension cord, plug it into the cart, charge the battery. Good to go. But like I said, that's about it. Apologies for not filming the process. But like I said, there's dozens and dozens of videos on these carts putting this kind of battery in, and there's different ways you can do it. If you're doing body off, you can turn the battery side long ways and stick it between the frame rails. It's a tight fit that way too. But this worked, for me. I guess that'll do it. All right then. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I guess I'll see you next time. Listen, y'all be safe. See you later. Bye-bye now.